This priest had no idea a camera was watching. What he did next left everyone stunned. In the tranquil, storybook town of Hampton, cradled by rolling green hills and shaded by ancient oak trees, the Church of St. Margaret stood proudly at the heart of the community. Its weathered stone walls and arched windows had witnessed generations of baptisms, weddings, and Sunday prayers. For more than 7 years, Father Joseph had served as its devoted shepherd. Yet, despite his tireless dedication, many townsfolk still quietly regarded him as an outsider, someone whose roots didn't run deep in Hampton's soil. Father Joseph had arrived from a distant corner of the country, bringing with him not only a different accent, but a worldview shaped by unfamiliar traditions and values. Though some were slow to warm to him, he never let that discourage his mission. With humility and open-heartedness, he embraced Hampton as if it were his own hometown. He cherished both his sacred role and the gentle rhythms of small-town life. When he wasn't preaching from the pulpit or ministering to his congregation, Father Joseph would often stroll through Hampton's dusty lanes, taking in the town's quiet beauty. He found peace in its simplicity. One of his favorite spots was the local coffee shop on Main Street, a cozy nook where the scent of roasted beans lingered in the air and the chatter of townspeople filled the room like music. There, with a steaming mug in hand, he would watch the world go by. Young mothers shepherding curious toddlers, elderly couples walking hand in hand, teenagers giggling over shared secrets, and shopkeepers sweeping their storefronts. These small, ordinary moments grounded him and reminded him why he had chosen a life of service. Beyond his spiritual leadership, Father Joseph made genuine efforts to connect with his congregation. He visited parishioners in their homes, supported community events, listened to local stories, and offered help to those in need, regardless of their past. But despite his good intentions, not everyone welcomed him warmly. Suspicion and judgment lurked beneath the surface of Hampton's tight-knit community. A number of townspeople, and even some within the church, viewed Father Joseph with distrust. To them, his friendliness was superficial, his kindness a performance. Their skepticism wasn't just rooted in his outsider status, but also in his close relationship with one particular woman, Melissa Thompson. Melissa was a strikingly beautiful single mother with a complicated past. Years ago, her husband had accused her of infidelity and walked out, leaving her alone to raise their 2 young children, Martha and Johnson. Since then, she had become a social outcast in Hampton, branded by gossip and judged harshly by many. But Father Joseph didn't share the town's view. He welcomed Melissa into the church without hesitation, treating her with compassion and respect. He often reminded others that the church should be a refuge, not a courtroom. Melissa, deeply touched by his acceptance, became one of the most active members of the congregation. She volunteered regularly, helped organize events, and brought her children to every service. Over time, Father Joseph became a regular guest in the Thompson household. He spent hours with the children reading to 10-year-old Martha, talking about sports with 7-year-old Johnson, and lending a hand with chores. He was often invited for dinner and treated as family. Their modest home became a sanctuary for him, a place where he could unwind and be his authentic self. This closeness, however, ignited a wildfire of rumors. Many whispered about the priest's frequent visits, speculating that something inappropriate was going on between him and Melissa. The bond between them, though rooted in faith and shared struggles, was misunderstood and harshly criticized by those who chose judgment over grace. Father Joseph remained unfazed. He continued to serve his parishioners and visited any home where he was welcomed, but he undeniably spent more time at the Thompsons'. There, he found warmth, gratitude, and the genuine human connection he so valued. Then came the day that would shake the town. One quiet weekday. With her children at school, Melissa decided to spend her free time at the church. She wanted to pray and help out with some chores. After setting her home in order, she made her way to St. Margaret's, where she met Father Joseph. They prayed together, spoke for a while, and then he retired to his private quarters. Melissa remained behind, tidying up the church. She enjoyed the solitude, the quiet rhythm of sweeping the floors, dusting the pews, and arranging the altar linens. It was her way of giving back, a small gesture of service and gratitude. But what happened next changed everything. Roughly an hour and a half later, the church doors suddenly burst open. A group of parishioners had arrived early for choir practice. As they stepped inside, what they saw stopped them cold and sparked outrage throughout the town. They couldn't believe their eyes. What this priest was caught doing on camera left the whole town in shock. The truth was unbelievable. As Father Joseph bent over Melissa's motionless body, his hands trembling and his face etched with concern, he pressed his lips to hers and began administering CPR. In that critical moment, he was entirely unaware that a small device nearby, a phone propped discreetly on a church pew, was capturing everything in real time. At that exact moment, several choir members arrived at the church for their usual afternoon practice. But when they pushed open the wooden doors, what they saw stopped them in their tracks. There, in the middle of the sanctuary, was Father Joseph leaning over Melissa, breathing into her mouth. The scene instantly triggered outrage. Without seeking any explanation, the choir members jumped to conclusions. Shouts of accusation erupted through the church. One of them raced to the old bell tower, pulling on the rope with urgency. The clanging of the bell pierced the quiet afternoon air, echoing through the streets and summoning the townspeople like an alarm. Within minutes, dozens of Hampton's residents poured into the church, their faces filled with fury and suspicion. To many, this moment was the confirmation they had long been waiting for, proof, they believed, of an inappropriate relationship between the priest and the young single mother. Father Joseph stood frozen in the chaos, stunned by the wave of accusations. He tried desperately to explain what had happened, that he had found Melissa unconscious and was trying to save her life. But no one listened. His voice was drowned out by shouts and judgment. The same people he had served for 7 years, the ones he had visited, prayed for, and supported, now turned on him with harsh words and condemning glares. As emergency services rushed Melissa to the hospital, Father Joseph was left standing alone in the church, his heart heavy and eyes full of disbelief. Everything he had worked for in Hampton, the trust, the relationships, the reputation, seemed to be crumbling in a single afternoon. But then, a voice pierced the crowd. It was Tommy, a young boy from the congregation, no older than 12. He ran into the church, breathless but determined. Noticing the angry mob surrounding Father Joseph, Tommy pushed his way through and shouted for everyone to stop. "Wait," he yelled, holding up his phone. "It's on Melissa's live stream." The crowd fell momentarily silent as Tommy showed the live recording that had been streaming on Melissa's social media page. The town had unknowingly been watching itself in real time. Realizing the gravity of what this could mean, some members of the congregation began to search the pews for Melissa's phone. It didn't take long, they found it still recording, perched carefully on one of the seats near the altar. To everyone's surprise, the live stream had not only been broadcasting but also saving the footage to the phone's memory. They rewound the video and started from the beginning. What they saw changed everything. The video began with Melissa walking into the church, camera in hand. The stained glass above the altar had cast a radiant beam of colored light across the pulpit, a moment so beautiful that Melissa had decided to share it with her followers online. She placed her phone carefully on a pew, angled toward the altar, and began the live stream. Moments later, the video showed Melissa walking toward the altar. She knelt to pray but suddenly clutched her chest and collapsed. A few minutes passed before Father Joseph appeared in the frame. Rushing in from his private quarters, he spotted Melissa on the floor and immediately sprang into action. The video clearly showed him checking her pulse, calling her name, and then beginning CPR. All of this had been captured, every moment, every action, every prayer he whispered under his breath as he tried to revive her. The footage told a completely different story than the one the crowd had assumed. Far from committing any wrongdoing, Father Joseph had been a compassionate man doing everything he could to save a life. The room fell into stunned silence as the video ended. The same people who had been shouting moments before now hung their heads, ashamed of their hasty judgment. Eyes turned to Father Joseph, who stood quietly, his face pale but composed. It was clear now. The priest's actions were nothing short of heroic. The people of Hampton stood in stunned silence as the video ended. Shame and regret washed over them. They had been too quick to judge, blinded by suspicion, gossip, and long-held prejudices. Now, seeing the truth so clearly, they were forced to confront their mistake. The hospital later confirmed what the video had shown. Melissa had suffered a sudden, serious medical emergency. The doctor's report revealed a previously undiagnosed heart condition. Without Father Joseph's swift and skilled response, his timely CPR, she might not have survived. In the days that followed, the choir members who had so hastily accused Father Joseph came to him one by one, offering heartfelt apologies. Their voices were filled with remorse and humility. Father Joseph, with the grace and compassion that had defined his years of service, forgave them without hesitation. "I understand why you reacted the way you did," he said gently. "But I hope this experience reminds us all of something important. Sometimes what we assume about others says more about us than it does about them. Everyone deserves the chance to be seen for who they truly are, not who we think they might be." His words touched the hearts of many. Slowly, the community began to reflect and grow. The townspeople, once so eager to doubt him, now held Father Joseph in high esteem, not just as their priest, but as a man of quiet strength and unwavering integrity. Melissa, too, was seen in a new light. No longer viewed through the distorted lens of an old scandal. She was recognized for who she truly was. A devoted mother. A woman of faith. and an active, valuable member of the church. The shame unfairly cast upon her by her ex-husband's accusations began to fade. The community finally acknowledged the pain she had carried, and the strength it had taken to raise her children alone. This story of Father Joseph and Melissa serves as a powerful reminder. We should never judge someone based on another person's past or on rumors we've heard. Appearances can be deceiving, and our assumptions can cause real harm. Compassion, open-mindedness, and second chances can often reveal a truth far deeper than first impressions ever could. What are your thoughts on this powerful story, a tale of misunderstanding, redemption, and the quiet strength of forgiveness? I'd genuinely love to hear your perspective. So please feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. If this story touched your heart, challenged your assumptions, or simply made you pause and reflect, consider subscribing to our channel for more heartfelt and thought-provoking content. And don't hesitate to share this video with someone who might need a gentle reminder of the power of compassion and second chances. Take care of yourselves and each other. I'm looking forward to sharing more meaningful stories with you in the next video.